FFA members and guests, generously sponsored by CM Trailers of Madill, Oklahoma. Please join me in an enthusiastic Oklahoma blue and gold welcome for Dr. Rosemarie Rossetti.
My life changed in an instant. What happened to me was unprecedented, unpredicted, and brought about an irreversible change in my life. Fortunately, though, it has a happy ending because I lived through it to tell you what happened. The story starts June 13th, 1998. I'm on my 7th anniversary this coming June. It was our wedding anniversary weekend. We had been married 3 years, and Mark and I wanted to do something very special. We wanted to go for a bike ride, one of those romantic settings. I know you've got those bike trails here where they've taken a railroad track and they turned it into a bike trail. Now this was a Saturday afternoon. No wind, no rain, a Caribbean blue sky, no threat of storm. My husband and I took our bikes, put it on the back of the car. We live in Columbus, Ohio, and we drove about 40 miles east of Columbus to a small town of Granville. I remember Mark was driving and he parked the car downtown in Granville. I was in the passenger seat, and I remember distinctly getting out and taking my last step. You see, at that point, I got on the bike and I started riding the trail. He was right next to me. We were laughing and talking and having a wonderful time when all of a sudden Mark heard what he thought was a gunshot, and he slowed down and he was behind me. And then I hear him say something. He said, "Look over there, something's falling." And he was looking up ahead and to his right. And just then, as he looked ahead, he saw it. And he said to me, "Stop!" You see, what he was looking at as he looked ahead on the trail was a large tree. And the tree was halfway down, entangled with live electric power lines. And what he saw was, in an instant, I was suddenly crushed by a 3.5-ton tree in an instant. We landed on the rooftop of the trauma center, and I was met by dozens and dozens of doctors. There I lay on this cart, this cold cart, and I just lay there looking up at the lights, listening to the sounds of their conversation. I was trying to figure out the extent of my injuries, and I heard the sound of a scissors, and I was curious what they were doing. And I looked down, and just then there was a scissors, and someone was cutting off my favorite bike shorts. You know, I'm pretty modest as a person, and there I was just laying there watching them cut off my bike shorts. Pretty soon they had cut off my jersey, and then I looked down, I heard a snapping sound. And I thought, now what are they doing? Well, I looked down and there's this pair of hands, and it's on my bra strap. And I look back, and it's this dude. This not even good looking dude. And he's got his hands on my bra strap, and he just rips it right off of me. And I'm thinking, if they're going to send in somebody to rip off my bra, why didn't they send in somebody good looking like Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise? You know? Yeah, not the hunchback from Notre Dame. Well, at least I wasn't wearing my favorite red lace Victoria's Secret that day. You know? I gotta tell you, can you remember what your mother used to tell you about wearing clean underwear? I got news for you. They don't even check. They just rip it right off of you. Well, there I was, laying there, waiting for the surgeon to put the needle in my arm, and suddenly I would be asleep. It was surgery, 4.5 hours worth. I woke up Sunday morning, my husband was at my bedside, and I said, "Mark, what did they do? What did they find? What was the damage?" The most surprising thing that I learned is that after adversity comes opportunity. Now think back in your life. Has there been an adversity in your life that you can think back and say, you know what? Because of that adversity, because of the bad thing that happened in my life, It caused me to go a new direction, to take a new path, to go another way, to have a different outlook on life. And I'm going to show you by some examples some of the opportunities that have come my way, and maybe you can relate to these. Here I am carrying the Olympic torch on the streets of Columbus, Ohio. I felt very privileged and honored to have the only one holding that torch during the Winter Olympics of 2002. Why did I carry the torch? One person nominated me because of my ability to motivate and inspire. And that's the point. After an adversity comes an opportunity, and that leads to your personal growth. So perhaps this is a better perspective for you. Perhaps as you look at these setbacks, as you look at these crises, as you look at these disappointments, look at them as an adversity at first, but see the opportunity that could come and see the personal growth that could lead to. Therefore, your fresh perspective is after an adversity comes personal growth. Adversity precedes your growth. Isn't it true? Can some of you think about your life in that perspective? This is the new bike I bought. Within 2 years of my injury, I went shopping. I looked on the internet and I checked bike shops around the country, and I found this bike made in England. It's a 3-wheel recumbent bike. And I had enough muscles back in my upper legs that I could ride this bike again. We put Velcro on my feet because they were still paralyzed. Of course, I wore a new helmet. And for the first time, this photograph is showing me test driving this bike in St. Charles, Illinois. With that, I bought the bike, and I am a syndicated columnist. I went into my neighborhood and started riding this bike again within 2 years after my injury. And it is just like riding a bike. That's the whole purpose of going forward after you've fallen off. You felt sorry for yourself. You don't eat, you don't sleep, you cry a great deal of the time. I'm telling you, you got to stop. At some point, you got to give in and say, I've had enough of this. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and move on with your life. Because it drains energy. It's no fun. It's not productive. And there comes a time when you've just got to put a stop to the self-pity and move on. Because your thoughts do control your emotions. And if you want to feel better, change those thoughts in your mind. And it's because of this lesson. If you look closely at the screen, these are rocks on top of each other. There's no cement, there's no mortar, yet they're balanced on top. How is that possible? You would say that is impossible. But because you're seeing it, because I saw it, it is possible. Your life has more possibilities than you're giving yourself credit for. There are more potentials. You have more energy. You have more creativity. You are smarter than you know. There is a lot more in your life that is possible, that you are screening out as possibilities. I would like you to consider your life fully and the possibilities that you can bring to it. Lessons to live by, those are the 3. I hope that they have some application in your life, because it is my indeed belief that you own the power. It's up to you to take charge of your life. It's not somebody else that's going to do it for you. You've got the power to make these changes and adaptations in your life. You could probably imagine where I was when this photograph was taken. Can't you? Where was I? Back on the bike trail. It's the 2nd anniversary of the ride. I had a lot of wishes and dreams. You know, they say when life gives you lemons, what do you make out of it? Lemonade. Someone once told me, Rosemarie, you didn't make lemonade out of yours. You made margaritas out of yours. You know, sometimes you got to look at your life and take it to a level of where you want it to be. And for me, I wanted a victory ride. I wanted to go back to the trail and celebrate my life. I had a lot of wishes and dreams that day. It was a very emotional celebration for me. You could imagine me as a dreamer, what was going through my mind. A lot of wishes and dreams, that cool bike. And then I thought, when was the last time I got a new bike? I went out and looked in my history and my old photo album, and I brought this one to show you. I was 10 years old and I had that new bike. It was kind of cool then. And now I'm on this other new bike that was kind of cool. And I thought, you know what? Yolanda was right. It is just like riding a bike. You got to ride a bike, you fall off, you get back on. Maybe life is a series of riding bikes. Maybe it's true. Maybe life is just like riding a bike. I want to show you something. want you to tell your friends you came and saw a speaker who could walk or talk.